Good morning and welcome back to Marty's Tying Bench. This morning I'm putting together Vice Squad kits once again, and this week's pattern is a Tri-Lobal Ant tied with this cupboard mat. Nice high floating pattern. You may have seen my video on the HiViz cupboard ant. This is Jim Cooper ties this with 3 segments, calls it a Tri-Lobal ant. So I've kind of melded the favorite parts and techniques for all 2 or 3 of these variations, and here we go. I'm going to start with 140 denier black thread. Any black thread will do. And I want to cover the entire hook shank just to not have any hook show through. Tie back to the hook barb, and at this point I'm going to move it back forward to the hook point. Now you've got a couple of strands of Darlon for your HiViz post, and we're going to tie both of them. I got contrasting colors, so often makes it easier to see. So get those tips as square as you can, cut them if you need. And pinch them down there really close, because as best as you can I want you to tie it in right above the point of the hook. And then you can come forward to cover all that up. Now this is going to be hard to handle with the full length, so I'm going to suggest you cut it in half and set the other aside for later flies. Now the body material, this cupboard mat, you get a patch of that, and you see the big holes. Just focus your eyes on the holes. You're going to be cutting along that strip. You can see where I've cut along the large holes. Now if you do it this way, you'd be cutting across the large hole and then the small hole, and it won't work. You need to do it this way because that's the way the cord runs that forms the antennas. Now this is an imperfect procedure, so you will have a number of them that don't work. Don't worry about it, you got plenty of mat. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut a little strip out and pinch really hard on the second one, because that's where you want your antennas. Grab the first one and then roll your thumbnails together, and then the antenna will stick out. Come to the other side, grab the one you want to be your last segment, pinch hard and roll across your fingernails, and now you got antenna on this side. Now you see, if the light shines through, there are some tiny holes in this as well. We're going to put this onto our bobbin threader for the next step. If you brought your bobbin threader, you might as well prepare all your ant bodies at the start. Just makes it pretty slick. I'm going to slide that bobbin threader around the hook until I can lift up the HiViz stuff. And now I'm going to just pull one of the ant bodies out. Now if I try and pull it there, I'm going to have to pull the whole length of the yarn, so I'm going to slide that out towards the end so I have less to pull through. And now I can slide that ant body down. Okay. Now we're going to place this on the hook so that the head on the front doesn't cover up the eye of the hook. That's why we stopped right over the point of the hook, is because it just became an obvious index point that would let us size this body to this hook. So, right in that segment, tie it down tight with 2 or 3 turns. And don't be afraid to reach up and grab the ant body and twist it around until you get it right where you want it. Now you've got a saddle hackle. And since we're not trying to be anatomically correct on this thing, there's no real proper size on this. You can get away with a lot of different sizes. You'll just instinctively get an idea when it looks like it's too big or too small, but there's a wide range here. So I'm going to tie that in, then make a turn behind and a turn in front. And anywhere in here that you want to, you can trim this HiViz post. I just found it easier to leave them long so I can work around the post more easily. So now I trim the feather. I'll come in here and trim the post so it's about hanging out over the rear antenna. And now I'm going to bring my thread forward until it's right under the narrow part on the ant body. Couple of firm turns to tie it in. Go right back to the saddle hackle. Just a couple turns. Again, we're not relying on this for flotation. This is just legs and bugginess. Don't worry if this pattern looks messy. It isn't meant to be an absolute imitation. It's just 3 segments and the fish will see it whiz by and go, man, I think that was an ant. Now I'm going to cut the hackle off the bottom. And I'm all set. Tri-Lobal ant.